Hi there, welcome to phase 2 of my fitness test. This is a 25 exercise program and it is designed as a workout program as well as a fitness test where you can measure your progress. Please go to my bio for the full detail of every exercise and the concept and why I've designed it this way. I don't want to talk too much about that now. I'd like to go straight into the first exercise. Let's get going. Alright, our first exercise is breath control. Very simple. You need to make sure that you have a timing device or maybe something on your phone. We're going to take 4 in and out breaths, very slow, very controlled, very deep breaths. On the last out breath, you're going to set your timer and you're going to hold your breath for as long as you feel comfortable to hold it. Please don't be silly. If you start to feel faint, you need to stop. But your body will tell you when it's time to take a breath. Every time you do this, you're going to see if you can hold out for longer. That's the test. Are we ready? Alright. Deep breath in and breathe out. Deep breath in and breathe out. Deep breath in and breathe out. One more breathe in. Get ready. Breathe out. Set your timer when you've got rid of the last bit of air. Go. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Alright, our next section is the cardiovascular fitness section. Our first exercise in that section, exercise number 2 of the 25 exercises, is a speed test. It's a 5-minute speed test. You do this outside. We're obviously not going to do it in here. Alright, and very simply speaking, you need to find yourself a flat route that you can use every time you do this test, and you're going to start your timer and you're going to run as far as you can or speed walk as far as you can in 5 minutes and record that result. That's it, it's that simple. Alright, it is a speed test, 5 minutes max, let it go, tell me how it goes. Alright, our second exercise in the cardiovascular fitness section, which is the third exercise out of 25, is still an outdoor exercise and something that you will continue to do once you've done your 5-minute speed test. Keep running or keep speed walking or do a combination of both depending on your fitness, and I need you to do that for 5 kilometers and see how long it takes you to do 5 kilometers. This is an endurance and a distance test. Let me know how it goes. Again, please make sure that you pick the same route every single time you do it. If you're not that fit, please pick a flat route. Alright? Let me know how it goes. Alright, this is exercise number 4. In the cardiovascular fitness section. It is quite a tough one, and it's very simply a lateral jump, but it's not, there are some specific things you need to be aware of when you're doing it. What you don't want to do is step out. I need you to keep your feet together. Imagine you've got a pole, a joint to each ankle, keeping the ankles tied together so that you can't separate and you can't sort of move like this. You don't want to rock into the movement. You want to jump from exactly where you land. Jump, don't lift, don't step, don't lift. Jump from exactly where you land, just like that. The reason why is it limits any form of momentum. Alright? You need to do this. It is a repetition exercise, but I'd like you to challenge how far you can jump every time you do it. Start increasing the distance of that jump from left to right and increase the repetitions. Right? Give it a go, let me know how it goes. Alright, this is exercise number 3 in the cardiovascular fitness section. Exercise number 4 out of 25. It's a mountain climber. It's essentially a plank run, alright? It's quite a specific thing to do. You want to have your hand directly underneath your shoulder so that your hands are shoulder width apart. Your feet are together, your bum is down, coccyx tilted down, spine is extended. Don't look under at your feet, look at your hands or look at the front of your mat. You're going to bring the one knee in and you're going to swap, and you're going to keep swapping and go into sort of a running motion in that plank position, right? You're going to set your timer as you start, and you're going to go for as long as you can. Again, this is not a competition. Every time you do it, you're going to see if you can go for a little bit longer, all right? Give it a go, let me know how it goes. This is exercise number 1 in the leg strength block. Yes, it is also a cardiovascular exercise because it has a plyometric movement. But what I'm trying to primarily do is get the leg strength through the plyo movement, working on the quads. The quads are on the front, and the glutes, a little bit of the hamstring, but primarily the quads and the glutes. Alright? Simply speaking, your feet are shoulder width apart, weight goes into the heel of the foot. Drop your bum down as low as your knees. Don't push those knees forward. Pull them all the way back. Alright? And you're going to jump up as high as you can. Go all the way back down. Up, all the way back down. That's important. Alright? It's a repetition exercise. Count your reps. And also, see if you can start getting that jump higher and higher and higher. Alright? Let me know how it goes. Alright, this next exercise is a hip flexor quad exercise, okay? But we need to keep the spine still. We don't want to collapse forward, we don't want to lean back, alright? So your standing leg is still, you're actually going to do it standing against a wall, shoulders back, nice long neck, bum touching the wall, shoulders touching the wall, hands touching the wall. The feet can be about half a foot away but not much further. And you're going to brace yourself and lift that leg as high as you can. Your aim is to get it to hip height or higher. Do as many reps as you can and count those, but I need you to measure the height of your maximum, the height of the, sort of the highest point you can get. But please don't use momentum. Right, one of the reasons we're bracing ourselves is to stop you using momentum, take it controlled, take it slow, and you raise it as high as you can, measure your maximum height, and also measure your maximum repetitions. Give it a go, let me know how it goes. Alright, this is a particularly fantastic quad-only exercise. It's a very controlled exercise. You need to really be thinking about what you're doing. Knee, hip, spine, shoulders, one straight line. Don't arch backwards, don't sit. Right? Imagine you're frozen from the knees to the neck, arms included, hands behind the head, and you lean back as far as you can without arching the back, because it's very easy to arch. Lean back as far as you can without arching the back. You're going to measure two things. You're going to measure repetition, and you're going to measure height of the base of the skull, so the lowest point of your actual skull. Measure the height of that from the floor. You will need someone to help measure it, but you're measuring two things, repetitions and your lowest height without collapsing. Alright? Give it a go, let me know how it goes. Alright, this is exercise number 2 in the leg strength section, and it's primarily focused on the hamstring, alright, and the glutes. It's a brilliant exercise. It's a little bit easier than the last one, but you do need to focus. When you lift the hip, or when you lift the leg, it's not to drop the hip, alright? Rotate the hips with both hips at the same height from the floor. You want to make sure that the ankle and the hip are the same height from the floor as well, alright? You don't want to be sort of swinging the leg up, which gives you a bit of a momentum. Keep that leg still, keep that leg heavy, keep it parallel to the floor. Hands are out to 60 to the spine, lift as high as you can, and you drop as high as you can, and you drop. It's a repetition-based exercise. Obviously do both sides, count your reps, there will be a difference. Let me know how it goes. yes, secondarily you will work your anterior deltoids, but depending on how you do the push-up, alright, do it my way to make sure that you're working here, alright? You're going to go into sort of a kneeling position. Your knees are going to be same width as your shoulders, not too narrow. You'll see some comfort issue, just a little bit on the shoulder width. You're going to go into a full child pose, pushing that bum as far back as you can, stretching your hands as far forward as you can, and you want to get your hands turned out with the thumb to sort of wrist line, matching the edge of a yoga mat, standard yoga mat width. If you're very short, go a little bit narrower than that. For the average person, I would say yoga mat width. There's a very specific reason if you want to go broader. You're not doing a sort of a tricep push-up. Alright, go forward. Thumbs are in line with the yoga mat edge. Alright, get your positioning right. Hands as far forward as you can get. Thumb as far back as you can get. Do not move your knees. Do not move your hands. You're going to come forward. When you come forward, you will see that my hand is more in line with my rib cage and less in line with my shoulders, which is what we want to do. Pull those elbows back. Pull the shoulders back. We're going to go back just to prepare again. Alright, get it right. Come forward. And when we go down, we're going to start from here as low as we can. Don't drop the hips. Alright, you want to almost drop the nipples first, but we're not doing this either. Okay, you're going to push back to get your position right. Come all the way forward so that you're kind of in a kneeling plank position. Do not change upper body position. It's a slight curve from shoulder to hip to knee, and you do as many as you can, getting the nipples or the rib cage to touch the floor. See how many you can do. Let me know how it goes. Alright. This is a fun one if you're an adult. Wine bottle hold. It is a lateral hold. We're working the whole of the shoulder primarily at the top. Alright? And what we want to be doing is holding a full wine bottle unopened. You can finish the wine after the workout. And you're going to hold it at the top, not at the side. I want you to hold it at the narrow end. Thumb at the top, very specifically because I want the same hold every time you do it. And also because we want the palms facing forward and not down. You're going to drop the shoulders, lift the bottle to the same height as the shoulders. Elbows are bent and tilted in. Alright, then your hands are going to push back just a fraction. Lift that chest. What we don't want is a collapsed spine and arms too far forward. So just to repeat, chest lifted, bum tucked, arms up, elbows slightly bent and tilted down, palms are facing forward, and you push the hand to be in line with the shoulder and or a fraction further back. Hold it for as long as you can and time that. Let me know how it goes. Right, this one's quite complicated. Please, you need to be careful with this one. Preferably choose a long table. It is an upper body exercise. We are working into the back. Alright? You need someone to sit on the other end of the table just in case it tipples. As you see, it can sort of lift. Okay, so the longer the table, the better, the heavier the table, the better, and preferably please have someone do it with you sitting on the other end. You're going to take your hands quite wide, alright? Kind of wider than you would have done with your push-up. Alright, you want to get your nipples kind of in line with the edge of the table. Okay? And then basically there are three options you can do. Option number one is bum is down. You bring the nipples or your chin to the table. Okay? Option number two is bum is up. This is a harder option. And you keep bringing those nipples to the table. Okay, you can go a fraction narrow if you want to bring the elbows in, but I'd rather you keep those elbows out and we do a wide row, is what it would be called. The most advanced option is straight legs, sort of upper body, sort of supine plank position, where we're going to lift up, same thing, bring the nipples to the table. You can see I'm not strong enough to go that way. I've chosen to do it this way. You want to build out the 3 levels. If you find seated too easy, lift it to bum up, and when you find that easy, go to a straight leg. Let me know how it goes. be working the back of the arms. It will work a little bit of the front of the shoulder as well. Please again be careful. I find a sturdy chair. There are two options of this. Taking your hands to the outside of the chair. Your bum is just off the edge. Shoulders back. Spine extended. Chin lifted. Your feet are just a fraction away. Your knees are just past 90 degrees. And you're going to drop as low as you can without collapsing the back. You need to keep the shoulders back. Keep the chest lifted. Nice long spine. And you go as low as you can, as high as you can, as low as you can, and up. Right, if you want to make it hard and you find it very easy to do that, do it with straight legs. Right? But I would suggest do it with bent legs first. See how many you can do. Keep repeating the exercise and let me know how it goes. What I call the perfect sit-up. So the ideal aim, and it is different for guys and girls, you're going to start off with guys and girls irrespective, knees bent at 90. Here's the difference. It is difficult for guys to do it with the feet pointed or the ball of the foot down. I will allow you to lift the foot, but I'd like you to try, girls definite, guys I'd like you to try, keeping the feet flat. Try not to lift the toes when you do the exercise. Again, women I find can do it irrespective. Men, there seems to be a gravity shift that doesn't allow us to do it as easily. Alright, so, not that that's a cop-out. The next thing is, feet are just wide and shoulder width apart. Alright, hip width apart. Bare minimum, one hand touching the forehead. You go all the way down, all the way up. Try not to fling this arm and use kind of momentum to get up. You can extend it because it does make it easier to have the one arm out, one hand touching the forehead, coming all the way up. Next best prize, both hands touching the forehead, all the way up. You can see I'm lifting my toes. It is difficult, it's very difficult for guys. Not making excuses, you'll see why. And up, alright. Third best prize is hands at the temples, alright. Fourth best is hands behind the ears or behind the head. And the fifth is hands clasped behind the head. I don't think I can do today. Okay, alright, so rule of thumb, guys, you can lift the ball of the foot but try not to. Ladies, absolutely no excuses. And the other thing is also try not to lift your feet or move the hand away from the head. See how many you can do. If you really struggle, don't go all the way down. Start seated. You go as low as you can, just as the lower back touches, and up. Let me know how it goes. Alright, good old standing inclusion is a plank. I call it the foundation plank. It's the most basic of them all. You're going to go into elbows directly under shoulders, feet and elbows same width apart. Tilt the coccyx down, extend spine. Don't tuck your head under, don't look at your feet. Look over your hands to the front of your mat. Pull the shoulders back, extend the spine. Don't round the upper back, you want to extend it. Don't arch the lower back, you want to tilt the coccyx down, keep it flat. Hold it for as long as you can and time that. Alright? Think about putting that belly button into the back and sort of squashing your spine and your belly button together whilst you extend the spine. See how long you can hold it for. Let me know how it goes. Alright, so this is a very difficult exercise because flexibility does play a role in it, especially if you've got closed hips. Alright, where you can't push that knee all the way back. So, let's start with the basic exercise. You start with your legs crossed and raised. This foot is not collapsed at the ankle. You need to make sure you're actually pushing it just a fraction around, almost like you're wrapping the outside of the foot around the leg. Alright, so the ankle is the most exposed part of this lower part of the leg. Alright? Hands behind the head, fingers clasped, not all the way, halfway clasped. Hands behind the head, upper body in a crunch to begin with. Chin away from the chest, elbows are in. And you want to pull all the way in until that foot touches the elbow. Try not to sort of move the body in an odd position. Upper body stays dead still. You bring that foot in, flexed. Don't relax because that makes it easier. Flex that foot, wrap it around. Try and pull the inside of the foot or the ankle to touch that elbow and get it up. Don't use momentum. Don't rock it like that. Nice, slow, controlled movement. You're going to pull it in and out. Pull it in and out. If you really want to test yourself, slow it down more and more and more. And you don't release completely on the out. There's always a slight contraction. Alright, please be careful with this one. No momentum. Let me know how it goes. This is a difficult one for me because I've got spinal deviation, so it doesn't give me the mobility in the spine that I'd like to have, but it's still going to give me two tests. One is repetition, the other is height. Starting point, you want to straighten your legs, lock the knees, which means lift the knees off the floor, but then think about pushing the ankles down, so you're pushing through the ankles, not through the knees. Squeeze the butt cheeks together, tilt your coccyx down and push your groin into the floor. Where it almost lifts the belly button off the floor. Then think about extending the spine and keeping the back of the neck extended, keeping the forehead resting the hand. No matter where you are in height, don't look up. Keep looking down, keep that back of the neck extended, and you lift it as high as you can slowly, no momentum, as high as you can. And you're going to measure repetition. You're also going to measure the height. Your aim in the ideal fantasy world is to get to a vertical position. Slow and controlled movements. As many as you can, as high as you can, slowly. Let me know how it goes. Alright, this is one you're not going to like me for because it is very difficult. But simply speaking, it's a balance exercise. It's in our balance section. The weight of your foot, your standing foot, is in the heel of the foot, not the ball of the foot. Kind of push backwards and extend the foot. You're going to lift your working leg, right? Hands behind the head. When you drop down, you're going to drop the hand on the same side of that working leg. Make sure your thumb touches and your fingers, but make sure that your thumb touches the floor. You're going to come up, bring the hands both behind the ears, bring that knee to the opposite elbow. We repeat, we drop the same side hand, thumb touches the floor, come up, bring that knee to the opposite elbow. Repetition exercise, do as many as you can. You will feel the calf work, you will feel the glutes work, you will feel the hamstring work. It's a brilliant exercise, it's a lot of control, it's also going to work your core. Do as many as you can without putting that foot on the floor. That's your test. Let me know how it goes. Alright, another one that looks simple, but it's quite specific in how you do it. You don't need to raise the arms. If your arms are tired, don't. Whatever you do, keep it that way for the entire duration of the exercise. It is a time test. You want to make sure when you lift up that your ankles don't push out. It's quite a common problem. You're going to push through the ball of the foot, extend your toes, transfer the weight all the way up, push those ankles as far forward as you can. I always say stiletto height, as high as you can get the heel. Number one. Number two, allow the ankles to gravitate towards each other, almost like you're squeezing your ankles in towards each other. Alright, so you squeeze without overdoing it. Extend your toes, tilt the coccyx in, lengthen the spine, tummy tight, rib cage down, spine lengthen. Whatever you want to do with your arms, you do, and you hold it for as long as you can. It is going to work your calves. Might pain a little bit. It's a brilliant exercise. If you're finding it super easy, close your eyes. I promise you won't be able to, but give it a go. Let me know how it goes. flexibility doesn't always allow for the full extension, so we're going to do it in various phases. You're going to lift your knee, option number 1, hold on to the knee. I will take the other arm out to the side, alright? Option number 2 is just bend forward a bit to grab the toes and pull that leg up. If you need to, you can grab on the outside of the foot, alright, preferably the toes, and you lift. Option number 3 is keep the knee bent, but kind of pop that knee underneath the elbow. Try and make sure that you extend your spine as much as possible. Option number 4 is extend the leg as much as you can. You want to get it longer. So yes, you are stretching at the same time, but holding that position is what we want to focus on. Please be careful of collapsing your posture to get the leg straight. Posture first, leg straight second. Give it a go, let me know how it goes. This is one everyone struggles with, but I think it's an important one to try. There is a technique involved. What you want to do, don't make the mistake of straightening your arms. You want to kind of go down as if you were doing kind of a tricep press, alright? You're going to bend the elbows and try and turn them in and put sort of the inside of the patella, that inside section of the knee joint, on the top of the elbow. You'll find there's a bit of a ridge central part. Bend the elbows, turn them out just a fraction, alright? Go into kind of a sort of a press position before you even lift the foot. See how bent my elbows are? Turn those elbows out, rest the knees on the top of the elbows, find your balance, transfer your weight into your hands where your feet feel that the pressure is the most reduced. Then start by lifting one foot and then the other foot. And you hold it for as long as you can. You might only get one foot off initially. Maybe alternate them, get the position right, transfer all the weight into the hands and minimize the pressure in the foot, if any at all, even if they aren't touching the floor. It is a tough one, but give it a go. Alright, so our first exercise in our flexibility exercise, or the flexibility part of the test, is working our hamstrings and our glutes, alright? So many people do this wrong, so please pay attention to it. First of all, we want to lift our little butt cheeks out of the way. It does make a difference, trust me. You want to sit as upright as possible, flex those feet, make sure that they're square, they're not collapsing in or inverting. Flex those feet, sit upright. Think about tilting your hips forward, not backwards and collapsing. Yes, it might be difficult for some people, but your focus is to lengthen first. The biggest mistake people make with this stretch is they kind of reach forward, collapse, pull the shoulders round, and we kind of stoop like this. It's a false sense of flexibility. You'll notice, if I, for instance, said I can only go that far forward, that's my flexibility, right? But when we collapse, do you see how much further forward my arm is going? It does not mean you are now more flexible. All you are doing is cheating the stretch, because your hip movement is what dictates the stretch, because we're trying to lengthen here and in the glute. If we're just collapsing, nothing's happening here. So you've got to think about tilting the hips forward, keeping the spine as extended as possible, and slide your hands as far forward as you can get without collapsing and recoiling and tilting backwards. Think about tilting forward, think about reaching, think about extending that spine, and go as far forward as you can with as flat a back as you can, moving from the hips as much as possible, as little as possible into the upper back and the shoulders. With your starting point, back yourself up against your wall so that you make sure that the hips are touching the wall. The start of your tape measure, starting at 1, is touching the wall as well. And when you slide forward, you'll see how far forward you can get. Again, without, see how much further I'm going by cheating? Don't do that. Far forward as you can get without cheating. You can always test how far forward you can get with a cheat. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's not the most accurate from a stretch perspective. Alright? Give it a go, let me know how it goes. Right, the next test is a twofold test. First of all, we're stretching our adductors. We're also working into the hips and the lower back. So the first part of the test is back yourself up against the wall as much as possible. So again, like the hips are touching, your bum is touching the wall. Open your legs as wide as you can. You might need a little bit of assistance to kind of lift the leg up and push it open more and more and more. Again, if somebody helps you with this, please be gentle. Don't be aggressive with each other. Lift the leg gently, move it. Lift the leg gently, move it. Go to your maximum distance, and you're going to measure, preferably without shoes on, from the outside of the heel to the outside of the heel, and then you will measure the width. The wider you are, the more you are opening up your hips, and the more you are stretching your adductors. Alright? The second part of the test is once you've got to your maximum distance, take your tape measure, shove it under your butt, put the number 1 touching the wall, and like with the last test, we don't want to slouch and tilt the hips backwards and collapse the body and roll those shoulders forward. We want to sit as upright as possible, and we want to stretch forward without collapsing the back, moving from the hips, keeping those feet flexed, and you're going to go as far as you can. Make sure you use the middle finger, because that's the longest part of the arm, to the side of that test, and again you're going to go as far forward as you can without rounding the back, recoiling or tilting the hips back or collapsing the shoulders. Extend that spine, tilt the hips forward, lengthen, pull the shoulders back, and you go as far forward as you can. Every day you want to try and go further and further and further. Give it a go, let me know how it goes. This next test looks really complicated to get into, but I believe it's the easier version of the alternative, especially for people who are not flexible, who are not used to putting that leg in that position. The alternative being to pull forward and bring that foot into the bum. The average person can't get the foot up to grab it and pull. You get hamstring spasm. It's really unpleasant. For me, it's easy because I'm used to it. This alternative I think is great. It's also a better way to gauge your flexibility. So we're going to start off ideally with the knee flush with the wall. You might find there's too much pressure. If it is too much pressure, bring that knee a bit forward, but not too far forward. But see how close you can get to the wall. The next thing is bring the alternate leg forward, and you want to have that ankle directly underneath the knee or a fraction in front. Alright, as the starting point. This hand is in line with the foot, heel of the hand in line with the heel of the foot, and you want to think about pushing that hip down, extending the spine. You don't want to recoil backwards. You actually want to create as much space between your butt cheek and the heel to drop down. Alright, so that's part number 1. The more flexible you get, the further forward that leg will go, but we don't want to risk opening up the hips. We need to keep those hips square if there is an alternative. For now, I'm very happy with just pushing that down, sinking the hip, extending the spine. How you measure this is you're going to take a tape measure, putting number 1 at the wall, and bringing that tape measure to where the heel is and seeing how far forward you can get that heel. Ultimate aim is the leg straight, and from there, which is something that is almost impossible to do for now, but a back bend touching the wall. Don't worry about that, we'll get there in 2 years' time. Alright, give it a go, let me know how it goes. Obviously do both sides, be gentle, hold the position, don't rush it. 30 seconds per side or a minute per side. Alright, give it a go. It's a shoulder mobility exercise. It's not something we need to measure with a tape measure. You'll see the difference. You'll see the mobility, alright? You can do this assisted. I would advise you not initially to do this assisted until you're very comfortable with the stretch. But you're going to start off with lying face down, taking your first arm at a right angle to the spine. Don't pull that shoulder up to the ear. Pull the shoulder back. Take your palm to the ceiling in a proper right angle. Don't allow that hand to slide to the bum. Proper right angle. Then you're going to rotate into that side. Lift your rib cage, fully extend the spine, pushing through the floor with this other hand. Alright? You might find that that's already too much. You might need to collapse a little bit. But ideally, let's start there. Pushing through the floor, trying to get the rotation in that shoulder. If you feel more comfortable, take this leg up, over and behind, and you're planning to push this hip down, trying to get the bum cheek on this side to touch the floor as close to the floor as possible. You're still pushing through the floor to get that rotation. This underneath arm is still at a right angle. You're not sliding that hand down. Alright? You go as far as your flexibility allows you to go. Please don't be silly and over push. Then, finding this super easy, you reach this top arm up and over, and you try and get the hands to clasp behind the back without sliding the hand down to the floor. I'll just show you from this side. Alright? So you clasp behind and you extend. If you are using assistance, please, you can have your partner in crime pushing that top shoulder backwards, helping you lengthen the spine, rotating on the hip to push it down, but it must be gentle. Please, the person being stretched needs to say further or not at all. Right, please be careful of that. Then once that top arm is desperately trying to reach to clamp behind your back, you might find it needs a little bit of guidance. You actually can get there, a little bit of guidance to get the hands to clasp. Again, that needs to be gentle, gentle push. Give it a go, let me know how it goes. I hope it goes well with all 24 exercises. And please remember, as a workout, try and do, especially the parts from beginning, from the cardio up until the balance, try not to have too much more of a 30-second break in between. You can alternate the running, power walking section, those two exercises. Those you can do alternating days with the strength exercises. You don't have to do it all in one day. If you're feeling strong, do the cardio run, do the remainder, 30-second break in between, do it all together. Otherwise, do the cardio exercises on one day, just the cardio run sections. The other two cardios you'll do in the day with the strengths and alternate them in that regard. I hope it goes well. Let me know how it goes.